Helps if I turn it on. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. This is Captain Doc Skinner on board the Starship Pariah. Arr. This is the Doc Force Patreon edition, where we can talk freely, do what we want. Well, within reason, but yeah, it's a lot freer than other places. We know. Anyway, hope you're all having a good night. I just want to say a special shout out to all of my Patreons. You'll see their names at the bottom. We got Marianne Morris, Dave Dennis, Dave Patton, Sherry Polk, Rebecca, Lisa V, Audrey Roden, Terry Reesing, Mr. B from Australia, Paul Marsh from a homie locally, Reba Serrano. She's just a sweetheart, and James Forsyth. God bless you all. Thank you all for supporting me, or I probably wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing. So there we go. Now, without further ado, if you were watching the public hour earlier this evening, you would know that I have with me Jeff Mudgett, and we're going to go into more detail about his book and the history of his great-great-granddad. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Mudgett. Hello, sir. Thank you again for staying with us another hour. Do appreciate it. Now, I go off in wild directions, and some people, they like watching that. So that's how it works. Never a script here. Never a script. Let's talk more about your book. And this is a book that's got updates in it from research you've done recently, correct?
Yeah, I'm revising it. And thank you very much for that opportunity, because the book is, I put it out 11 years ago now. And it sold a lot of copies, thousands here all over the world. And but then I got involved. It was funny. As I wrote the book, I wanted the book to be an account of a man, me, who, based on a true story but fictionalized, had been informed, like I had, that his great-great-grandfather was this horrible monster, all right?
Okay.
That this closest thing to a devil we'd ever seen or heard about in America. And wondering with all of us, maybe getting all of us to wonder with me, were these things that he was born with, these genes,
these traits?
Because I was convinced he wasn't mentally ill. I was convinced he was evil. Were those things going to get passed down to my grandfather, my father, me? My grandfather was a strange man, but it wasn't a criminal. Oh. And then were those things going to get passed down and then affect the traits and my characteristics as a human being? All right. And I always thought that was a cool subject for a story. And then, and I started writing about Holmes. I researched a lot about the real life Holmes. Uh-huh. I started wondering about Jack the Ripper. I started wondering about this thing he'd done, falsifying his execution. And then Doc, I started working on. I was on 5 television productions. I was on hundreds of shows like yours. I was on archaeologies, anthropologies, scientific examinations. FBI, Scotland, all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, I said, I still love the concept of the story about one man fighting for his life not to be the next.
Right.
I thought there was a subject matter there people would like to read about. But I said, now I've got something really valuable in my hands. I want to go back and revise the book because heaven forbid, Doc, a lot of the things I wrote about in that book 11 years ago are starting to come true.
Yeah.
And I wanted to fix it and to revise it. And I'm going to be done here in about 2-3 more weeks. And I website coming out, and I'll be offering it as an ebook to all your listeners and fans.
Excellent.
And I'll tell you what, it's going to be the best deal in literature, okay? Because I want the story to get out about what happens with all these evil genes. Do they get passed on to the next generation? What happens? And it's my website when it comes out. They're working on the webpage right now, but it's going to be called the buck29.com. And it's for the Buck29 Cafe for the price of a steaming cup of coffee. And I'm going to offer my new book, the ebook, for $1.29. And you can just download it,
Wow.
and go to work reading it and learn about the latest about Jack the Ripper, the latest about the greatest crime story in American history, that falsification of that execution. And then how it's affected me all these years working on all this stuff. And I tell you what, I think it's got a chance. I'm excited about people just going and taking a look, and I'm hoping going on shows like yours, you can get some of your listeners to take a look.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to getting it because that's the when I was a kid, that was the price of a novel back then.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you something about books now, okay? To print my book out now, up with the printing company I used 11 years ago to sell it, we're at $7 or $8 to print the book, okay? Then it's $1 to ship it, and then for me to package it and mail it to a buyer of the book, because I'm not going to send it to one of the big publishers, New York. You're at $8 or $9 more bucks, so you're at $17 or $18, and I haven't made a nickel. That's just modern life now. I think is turning ebook, and that's the way it's going to go. Like electric cars, huh?
I just hope they never get rid of libraries with books that they already have, because that would just be devastating if it all went digital, because that can be manipulated or deleted. So yeah, it's a true statement. It's just a little sad in my opinion.
Well, I did that for 11 years. I offered a lot of books out there, and now this one I'm doing by myself, my own website, no publishing house, none of that stuff. I'm going to do it myself, and then anyone that wants to take a look and take a shot at it, all it costs is a cup of coffee.
Wow. Let me ask you this: how old were you when you discovered this?
40.
Okay. And you said you found out from, was it family?
My grandmother.
Your grandmother.
And then my grandfather. I'll tell you about it. I write about it in the book. I'll tell you about it. It was family dinner. The grandma, she starts telling us she had a secret to tell us, and that she was sad about it. It wasn't who she thought it was going to be. It was this terrible man instead. And we all watched my grandfather, who had obviously been keeping this a secret from the entire family, Doc, even his wife, who probably wouldn't have married him had she known.
Wow.
Back then. Well, he explodes at the table and storms out of the room saying that name will never be mentioned in my house again.
Wow.
And, I write about it in the book, and it was, we all looked around shocked at each other, and wondering who what was. And my brother was a historian, and he starts informing us about the research he'd done at my grandmother's request about how this thing had owned the murder castle, and we're talking about the Chicago World's Fair, Doc. We're talking about something as big as the Las Vegas Strip. All right.
Right.
It was a huge thing.
It's built,
Millions.
and it was built just for that event in
Yeah,
most cases.
millions were there just for that event.
Mhm.
And you're talking about oh, that's why you and I talked on your earlier show that, and I thank you very much for, but I can't wait for those Hollywood giants to pull it off right.
Right. Well, are you going to have your hand in it or?
No, no,
Oh, okay.
no, no. That's the Devil in the White City. Eric Larson was the author of that.
Wow.
Although you know, with shows like yours and getting the word out, there's somebody who might come to me and want to know a little bit more about Jack the Ripper.
Yeah. No,
Who knows? Who knows?
there is somebody out there out of 8 billion people. There's a
Yeah.
few out there that would love to hear it. It is a gruesome, but it's the buried history. And you being an archaeologist, I'm burying the truth.
That's always been a bigger story to me. I'm glad you feel the same way. That him falsifying his own execution and then substituting. When we got there, Doc, we dug it up, right? And like I said earlier, I'm not in a fight with History Channel. They just saw it differently, but they did a great job on producing the exhumation. It cost them over $1 million to dig up that body. Okay. And when we got there, Doc, and maybe one of your listeners can jump in and help us with this, no one's ever helped me figure out when we dug it up, Doc, 2 graves. Holmes had bought 2 graves while he was in prison awaiting the execution. The one was no markers, no marked. One was in Holy Cross in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Very, very famous cemetery. The first one we dug down to 8 feet, right? And this is on American Ripper. If someone wants to watch, 8 feet, empty coffin. All right. The first one's an empty coffin. And it's of the pine box that was used to ship bodies around the country on trains.
Right.
That's what it was used for. And we found that empty. So we moved over to the other grave next to each other, right next to each other, bordering each other. Dug down 2 more feet, and then we found the concrete sarcophagus, which I have pictures of. And if you go on my website, the Bloodstains Facebook page, you can see the pictures.
Okay, hold on. Let me do that real quick while you're talking. Hold on.
Oh yeah, you can get some great pictures.
Is Bloodstain one word or 2 words?
One word. Bloodstains Facebook page.
I'll go to. Oh, it's on Facebook.
Yeah.
All right, let me go to Facebook then. There we go.
Great pictures of the 2 graves emptied out, of the concrete sarcophagus, of the body. We breaking the concrete open and seeing the skull.
All right. Okay. So,
gruesome stuff.
Pardon me, folks. 71 stitches in all the wrong places. That's all I'm gonna say.
Be careful.
Yeah. So, sorry for the grins and the.
Take it easy.
Woo. Okay, so now that my mind went blank, I was typing in what on Facebook?
Bloodstains Facebook page. Yeah, it'll come up. Bloodstains. It's the pictures of me writing at a desk.
Stains,
and then there's a caption of American Ripper in my book.
I got Bloodstains the movie.
No.
Oh, so Bloodstains what now? Why isn't it coming up?
I've never seen that one.
Yeah. Let me
anyway, if your listeners pull up Bloodstains Facebook, you'll see me there.
And if you do, put it in the chat room so we can share it.
Yeah. And you'll see some great pictures of our exhumation.
That I do remember seeing something, a video clip of that associated with the Jack the Ripper, because that's been kind of a big thing. Like the search for Hitler and search for this person and that. I get off on that. I enjoy learning, absorbing all this new information. Not just what the victors write, all right. So I really don't know why that didn't come up.
Don't know.
Bloodstains. What was the second word?
Facebook. I mean.
Oh, just Facebook. Okay, well, let's see real quick. Should have just said bloodstains. There we go. Got it. All right. So should I go to your pictures?
Yeah, go to
Photos?
pictures. You'll find graves. You'll find exhumations. You'll find the body staring up at you, the ugly skull with the hat and the mustache still.
Okay, let me open that up and close that down. And then I will screen share so you can like just tell me where you want me to go with this. So this is Bloodstains on Facebook. So if you guys people can follow you. And we're in the albums. Let's see. We got a skull here. Is who is that?
That's not it, but there is a skull. There is a skull in it. That one is something out of some pictures gallery. But if you go to photos, go to the photos section. Maybe the second picture there of me writing there, maybe.
Oh, you want that one? Okay. Yeah. So there's 5.
And you'll get some good pictures.
I don't see any pictures. It's just those 5 right there.
I guarantee you, there's a whole bunch of them.
If you can do screen share on your end, if that'd be easy to see, because I only see a total. Let me look at this one. Yeah, this is limited.
Well, there you got Gilmington right there, his little hometown. Remember we talked about earlier. You can see it right there. That's the house there over on the left. Yeah.
Oh, that's a beautiful way to grow up right there.
I'm getting interviewed by ABC. Yeah, but see the little house over there on the left.
Yeah, he wasn't right here. This one. Yeah. I mean, was he ever bullied? Was he bullied when he was a kid?
No, I write about some stuff that I tried to create for the book, but not really. He was there are legend and rumor about him having murdered before he was 11 years old. One of his cousins went missing in a little river behind the creek bed there. There's stories about that. No one's ever proved whether it was true or not. I don't know. But the little window up at the top of underneath the roof there on the house on the left was his bedroom. I went up there.
Oh wait, I'm circling on the screen that way. There we go. That one right there.
Yeah.
It's actually the darkest window of them all.
Well, look and see if he's looking back at us there. Yeah, he could be looking back.
Yeah, that would be crazy to zoom in on that. All right. I actually have a question from Australia.
Yeah.
Dave Dennis says, are you aware, and this is a crazy crossover concept, are you aware of the Anunnaki hybrid origins and Draco-reptilian manipulation? This explains extreme evil behavior in certain humans. They have a higher concentration of reptilian genes, and they're at a different frequency than other people. I added that last part. I'll leave that up there so you can think about it for a second. Are you aware of the Anunnaki? Are you aware?
No, but it fascinates me. I'm telling you,
do you know who the Anunnaki are?
Holmes used to write about that stuff and how he was fascinated with how evil nature was to itself. Yeah.
You did mention, how you did mention evil, but may I ask if you don't mind, what blood type you are? You don't have to answer, but do you know what blood type you are?
Oh, just just normal.
Oh, okay.
The regular stuff.
Because there's like certain bloodlines, the blue bloods, and then so I'm just curious because you were asking about things being passed down. Has there ever been any physical evidence that could obtain any form of DNA from him?
Well, that's what we did.
Like a brush with the hair and stuff. Oh, you did?
Well, okay, so that's what we tried. See, that's what I'm going to have your help. Have someone get me the chance to show to the world. But when we dug it up, we came up with mustache. We came up with molars, intact molars. We came up with the skull still had brain in it because of the concrete sarcophagus. It was like a little. It had kept it intact. And then when we were there in the University of Pennsylvania laboratory, the experts at King's College, who were the best in the whole world in DNA, they instructed us, the scientists, to roll the skeleton over. And on the back of the skull, this is something I was there while they were doing this, they drill with a diamond drill bit from this pocket on the back of the skull. There's this little porous pocket on all our skulls.
Uh-huh.
And they wanted the powder from that pocket. And I was there in May when we did this, and the experts are saying, we'll have this back to you in 3 to 5 days. No worry. We got Jeff's DNA. We got his dad's DNA. Everything checks. We'll have this back to you 3 to 5 days, whether he's a match or not. We didn't get anything all summer long. And they finally gave up on it, Doc. So you can imagine my shock when I saw the end of the show and history says the DNA was a match. It's not what I saw. That's why, I'm not here to fight with history. I don't have a bone to pick with them. I think they got their conclusions wrong. But I'd love to be able to go on air and explain what I found, what I saw, and what the scientists admitted to me about that body, and how that wasn't Holmes. That was a substitute the evil man had made to falsify his execution.
And here's the thing, a lot of people aren't aware of or realize is that now he was a wealthy man, correct? Because he had this hotel and everything. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So wealthy people, royal family members, politicians throughout history, we've learned over the years, many of them faked their own deaths, and they call it the Machiavelli, because Machiavelli was a king or a prince that used his money to make himself disappear. And look like he was gone forever, so he could just live a normal life. Michael Jackson's been said to have done that, as well as Elvis Presley and so many others. Because do you think maybe what was the time period of all of this activity that he was doing? Was there a time when he stopped, and then he either died or just decided to do the whole faking of the death thing? Because having 2 caskets and the bottom one being empty, that just makes perfect sense. Because what you do is because back then they didn't have DNA, so they would think in his devious mind, we'll have a funeral service, closed casket, we'll bury the casket, and that will be done with my name on it, and then paying maybe the cemetery people, next guy looks like me, you bury him on top of that, so that if anybody dug it up, that would be the first thing they get and be a skeleton, and they think it was him. But now we have DNA. I don't know. Am I just rambling, or do you think that might make sense? Because if he had the money and he was all about that, and you knew that Scotland Yards was looking for you, and then was there a certain agency that was hunting him down in America? Or did he get away with it all?
And they all, you know what, to tell you the truth, Doc, it's very rare that when I go on shows like yours, or I go see officials, that I have someone with open minds, because, and especially not history, that history knew, they just had it in their hearts and souls that this was the body. They were going to end this show. They were out of it. For some reason, they didn't want to continue. And I kept scratching my head thinking, dude, you guys got maybe the most incredible story to continue this show you could possibly imagine. Here's the most evil American ever, who faked all of that and committed the greatest con fraud in the history of the American criminal justice system, and fooled every newspaper in America.
Right.
And then went off on some other life that we. Have you ever read about Holmes as far as the history books are concerned? Have you done any research about him?
Most of mine was, documentary films or, little television shows.
There's a part you're going to want to read about, and especially after you start believing me that it was not him in that grave. There was a thing written about him, Doc, called the Holmes Curse. And everyone who was ever associated with his arrest, his incarceration, his trial, his prison, his execution, his burial that upset him, either died or had a mysterious disappearance. And they called it the Holmes Curse, but it couldn't have been him because he was dead in the grave, right?
Well,
Even
that's the
even the
depression they wanted.
prison superintendent at Moyamensing a month later had his brains blown off in his office there at the prison. Blown
Hmm.
out. And that's what's called the Holmes curse. Now, when the world starts listening to me about, wait a minute, you guys, I can prove to you that skeleton doesn't work. It's not him. They had a autopsy after the execution, Doc.
Uh-huh.
The neck was broken. It identifies the exact vertebra at the neck that separated. Okay.
Okay.
When we dug him up, there was no damage to the neck. The scientists admitted it. But they still, because of the dental records matching, they wouldn't allow me to push the issue. Okay. And so when I told them, guys, that's how he made a living. He used to falsify dental records to substitute corpses to con life insurance companies. That's what he did. And
Wow.
I couldn't get anyone to jump over there with me. They were so afraid of that Amelia Earhart thing, they weren't going to do it.
And the Amelia thing came out recently before that, right?
Yeah, a couple years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, well, we were talking about blood just a little while ago. Dave just says, I'm Rh negative, O negative. Apparently, this is the blood type of the Anunnaki, which only 50% of the humans inherited. Highest concentration of Basque region of Spain, Portugal, worth looking into. Yeah, I've always been interested, but because DNA and blood lines, it is crazy. And if I were you, I would too also worry, is this going to pass down? Because everybody gets angry, and you have like
I
an
have a
Ally.
temper.
Remember the show Ally McBeal, where it was about that girl and she worked in an office, and they would show you what she was thinking. Like if she got turned down, you saw her, and a bunch of hearts or a bunch of arrows would hit her in the heart. Yeah, so I believe all people do that in their heads. But if
Doc, I always knew I was different in
uh-huh.
ways. I always knew I had to control myself, my temper. I always knew there were different things about life and the world, like love and stuff like that. Things that when I watched a love story on television or a romantic novel or any of those things, I didn't feel that way. And then when I read about Holmes in his memoirs and the things he was talking about, I was thinking, I didn't get all that stuff dumped on me, but there was something that got passed down. I wanted to study about it. And,
do you think maybe it's that animal instinct that many have in them, but we control it? We all have that Hulk in us, basically.
Yeah. And
do you think that?
I'm going to tell you, I've never been close to murdering anyone.
Yeah.
But I've been angry at people. Oh, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you did the DNA thing, and the results didn't come back. Speaking with woohoo, first day to wear jeans in a week and a half. Oh, I forgot they're a little tight. When that happens, my brain goes, clean wipe sweep.
Okay.
Ooh, sorry. Like I said, the little stitches, and they
take it easy.
Oh boy, they get caught in the cloth, and so the gene. The other questions I want to ask were, was he ever married? Did he have a girlfriend? Maybe children? I mean, there's obviously children, but was he? Oh yes, do the family tree.
6 times.
He was married 6 times, or he had 6 children?
He was the great abuser of women.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he could just talk them into anything. He was really good at it, and he was very elegant, smooth, well dressed, and he pulled it all off. And that I can just imagine him, Doc, in your next movie scene you create about him walking through the World's Fair all elegantly dressed, introducing himself to all the visitors from Europe.
Dude, that's a great start. Him at the fair. You think he's like Mr. What's the word? The Magic Man, or somebody, and he's doing all this, and then he goes to the hotel.
Yeah.
Jeez. He really is. I mean, I'm not saying you are because of your bloodline, but this individual was very dark, but
Yeah.
very. I have to. And I hope nobody thinks I'm strange. I hope I'm not strange because of this, but there's an admiration of the brilliance and the genius of the stuff he did, even though it's bad. It's like an engineer. The what's what we're looking for? Not strategic, but many parts to it, and the fact that he got away with it for so long. When did they get him?
I think he was 32 or 33. He was, but you're exactly right. I was fascinated with all that, the way his mind worked too.
Uh-huh.
And, and then he needed some money for the getaway, the escape, right, while he was in prison. So he calls the Hearst Corporation in to interview him so they can write a story about him, print it on the front page of the New York Times.
Uh-huh.
And then buy his memoirs that he just finished while he was in prison.
Okay.
And he got paid $7,500.
That was a lot
And
back
then
then.
they all, and everybody that I've been working with all this time, they all want to wonder, well, what happened to the money? And I'm like, come on, man. He used that money for the escape, for the 2 graves, for the false coffins, for the concretes, all those things, that he needed to pull it off.
I mean, it was just like another day at the office in a sense. Now, was he a regular known doctor by day? I mean, was this like a Jekyll and Hyde thing, or did he just do everything in private?
Not sure. It could have been a very good Jekyll and Hyde thing, and I'm not sure if he actually ever gave care to anyone genuinely or not. I kind of doubt it. Unless it was a pretty young gal that he was trying to seduce.
God, I'm all against abuse and stuff to women, and it's just this guy. He just did it so Rico Suave. He just got them all in there, and
yeah.
Was there ever? Well, now was it only prostitutes, ladies of the night that he took on? Someone asked earlier if there was any men or children. You did mention children during the chase scene, right?
Oh yeah, the prostitute thing was only the London show.
Oh, okay.
that he had grown fascinated with reading the London newspapers while he was there. But there was very little of that in America.
Wow. And he just kept everything in Chicago?
No. He traveled around the country. He was all up and down. He spent some time in Texas. He wanted to build another hotel in Austin. He's hung out in Indianapolis. He was Baltimore, New York,
and he had the funds to do this.
Uh-huh. Isn't that a unique story? That's why I'm just hoping Scorsese just sees what he's got and runs with it.
I know somebody that I might be able to whisper in their ear. I think I might know somebody. We'll just leave it at that. I am really compelled with this whole story and how it's so much more than just what we were taught growing up as kids.
Well, and Doc, share with them, and this. You've had it on your show before, I'm sure. Mankind has this obsession with serial killers, and I don't know why. It's only 2% of the homicides in the world that has. But you know what? You pull up cable television now, Doc.
Uh-huh.
Every network has another series about serial killers, about some crazy murders, about the Zodiac, about any of those things. And now we're talking about the first one they called that, and the real one they called that.
Well, all I can say is I had a girlfriend at one time that would watch all those shows all the time, sitting on the couch, and then when she started taking notes was like, I gotta go.
Oh boy.
I gotta go, honey. I'm gonna go to the store. I'll be back in the, leave town. you know. So yes, you're absolutely right, because violence and sex is what sells even today, with all the woke stuff. It's still what attracts. And Dave was talking about, reptilian blood and all that. We have that draconian side of us in our brain. And I don't know if it's a subconscious intrigue that we have, but yeah, it's what sells. And as a Christian, that bums me out, but it's just the facts. Why is that? Why do you think that stuff like this, stories like this, even though it's an amazing story and it definitely needs to be made into a movie or series, attracts so many more people than, let's say, a good wholesome family film?
I think right and wrong, good and evil, all that stuff is something that works in all of our brains, and it's something we've got to, work through our whole lives. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to write the book the way I did, and not to, sell another book about homes, but to actually maybe help people get through that thing that I think we're all not fascinated with, but maybe, obsessed with, but oh, it's something we all have to. I think we celebrate God, we celebrate religion, we celebrate punishment for doing wrong, those things, and it's good that we do, because it could be a bad scene if we didn't. If you ask me,
Yeah.
I mean, look
So
at this thing that just happened on the news. I mean,
which thing?
the Buffalo thing. I mean, it's terrible.
The Buffalo thing. Did this just happen?
The kid that killed 10 people in the grocery store in Buffalo.
Oh yeah, that was like 2-3 days ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't realize it was a kid that went in and did it. I just heard 10 people were down.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I think these young kids that are doing it, even though I love playing games, I'm not addicted. I don't play it all the time. It's very rare. But when I do, I like first-person shooter games. There's just something, there's that empowerment, and you get these kids that sit there and play it day and night. I think they lose grasp of that veil, that curtain separating reality from virtual reality. And it's a scientific fact, I think, because I'd have to say, because they use that technique in the military to train their soldiers. They put them into virtual reality helmets and put them in a room, and they get them used to and comfortable to pulling the trigger. And in some cases, even, women that look like moms with a fake baby, but they're still, they're desensitizing them. And they're also doing it with law enforcement. So that's how I see some of the violence. Not all. There's a big portion of it is just pure evil, or just spitefulness, arrogance, greed, and it'll lead to murders and stuff. But the serial killers, I think the reason why people are so compelled to watch, I think there's a small little part, and I could be completely wrong, I'm just theorizing, don't judge me. There's that small part in all of us that wishes, man, I have a list of people, but I could never get away with it. And I think that's because we tell ourselves good and wrong, bad and good, how to decipher between the two. And 98% of us do the right thing, and the others, they do it and they pull it off, they get away. And there's that little tiny part of us going, damn. Now, am I a sociopath for saying that, or you think there's some truth to it?
I don't know, but you've got the example of this, my ancestor, who just did it when he hated, or when someone bothered him or was affecting his future and his money or his business. He got them out of the way, and he did it the simplest way he could, and he made sure that he took care of what was left so that he wasn't caught. And that's kind of what his life was about, and I think he enjoyed it. It's kind of like a hobby, and it was, I've been like we talked about on the show earlier. I've been trying to get people not to fall back on that old thing that we all want to rely on. That was a mental illness, that was a sickness, that was a sociopath, psychopath, any of those names you want to throw out there. Yeah, I think he told you himself he was born that way, and that's the way he went.
Wow.
He thought he needed a degree to do it right, so he went to the medical school at the finest university, in America, and pulled it off, and then decided that he needed the proper forum to do it uniquely and without having anyone ever even coming close. And so he builds a hotel in preparation for the World's Fair.
So he never actually worked in a hospital except for when he was in college getting his doctorate, or did he work at a certain?
He worked in a pharmacy.
That's it.
That's it.
So he went and did full medical school and ended up doing drugs at the, just doing the pharmacy thing.
The drugs come in handy, I guess. Yeah.
No, that's actually really brilliant. They didn't have toxicology reports back then. Makes me wonder if he used certain chemicals to help subdue his victims.
He was supposedly an expert in anesthesia, what they had at the time.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. There you go. But it definitely is a major movie series, miniseries, whatever you want to call it, because it's so elaborate, so surgical in a sense. Wow. You've just blown my mind tonight, Jeff.
All right.
I'm just sitting here just thinking it's just, simple, crazy dude. That's a doctor. He's high upper class. And, he's pissed at women. That was my impression. And there's so much more. And I get all stupid when I'm learning something, because I'm just like, oh my God, I'm like a kid. Okay. Where do I want to go? Where do you want to go? Because my mind's going a million miles a second right now with ideas, thoughts, and questions. So I'll let you take the realm.
No, I got to tell you, it's fascinating to go on a show like yours with someone with an open mind. I go on quite a few that just lock it out and decide that I'm a kook and I don't know what I'm talking about after all this research and time that I've spent, and then watching their faces slowly evolve as they see something that doesn't fit with what they thought was true before. And it's now I just got to find a TV network, Doc, that is not afraid that the Jack the Ripper story and how it's been portrayed for all these years, how they want to be the one that explains to the world that's not what happened. That's not what happened. And all those movies, all those books, all those legends and lores, they were wrong. And you know what? You'd think that would be something they'd jump on, right? They don't. And now the other networks are afraid to take on history because they'd have to pretty much come out and say that history got it wrong on another show.
Right.
And they have a brotherhood for some reason. There's a brotherhood of networks.
Oh, yeah, because all of them are owned by 3 or 4 major networks, Disney, Viacom, and some others. So, yeah, they all find out that everybody's working for the same people in the end. And they do have a huge hand in directing history, what we hear and say through media, TV, books, lectures, all that stuff. So when people like you and me come out of the woodwork and we start telling our truths, that it's like a rebellion. No, not rebellion, a rebellion, where the simpletons, the peasants, us folks, the non-elite, are finally getting our say thanks to the interwebs. When we get off the show, I want you to stay on, and I'm going to try to throw you some names, and then we're going to see what we can do about get you on some more shows so we can get this word out. and I really would like to be a part of the production in some way. I just love doing movies and TV series and stuff. It's just ever since I was a kid, I've been doing it, and it's for me, it's like the circus. You know, get on your bike, riding to work. I got a golden ticket. And this is, I think, will be a groundbreaking movie series or whatever TV series because of all of your research that you've put into it and what your findings. I see cool things in your future. So,
Well, thanks. For a while we had a studio convinced that while the home story was good, a better story would have been the story about bloodstains, about waking up one day, finding out who you were, and then doing these back and forths with, like you talked about, with a recreation in the production of going back in time and then to the present, back and forth, and how this would have worked out in something, with a man struggling with his character, with his personality, and knowing he had to stop what his destiny was and his fate. And I just thought, I love shows like that. I love shows like that. And this one certainly gives you all a producer wanted to pull off, all a director wanted to do, and a great actor could just show up on the screen. It would have been something to watch.
Wow. Yeah, I this will be really, really cool if we can get this going. But yeah, I'm gonna try to hook you up with some people I know, and get this thing going sooner the better. We're only getting older. So I got a question here. Hold on. Here we go. Dave Dennis Officer. This is fascinating, Jeff. I really appreciate you sharing. You're fired up my curiosity big time. As do me. I'm going to do a lot more research on this. Reba says, Jeff, what is your most surprising discovery of your great-great-grandfather?
All right, Reba, are you sure you want this? Are you sure you want this? Are you sure you want this, Doc? Because it's just going to be the one.
This is Patreon. You can do it.
All right. One day my father, we all wondered, if my theory was right, what did Holmes do after? We believe the family story was that he moved to California in the east on the Bay Area.
Okay.
That he lived outside outside of Vallejo on the Sacramento River, and that he had a little hotel there too, right on the river. But that he was smarter about his aliases. He was smarter about his names. He was smarter about his crimes, and he pulled it off. But one day after my grandfather passed away, my father, Reba, left me a picture of my grandfather and his brother standing over a grave outside of Los Angeles, looking down at this grave. And I've been doing some research. I'm convinced that one day we'll find out that's where he was really buried, outside of L.A.
Were there any landmarks nearby in the photograph?
No, I know where it is in
okay.
northern LA, but it would take another court order. It would take more lawyers. It would take more engineering firms and anthropologists, probably another $1 million. So it's nothing, easy to pull off. But once we have the story out, Doc, that it wasn't him in that grave and that he faked his execution, I think we'll be able to find another network, jump up and contribute that next $1 million we're going to need.
Yeah, I mean, I am totally convinced with what you've told me of his history, his intelligence, his money, his reach to people, because we've talked that it was most likely him and a group of people or a network of people doing these things, especially with the hotel. God, if you were to do,
it's like, and that point you brought up was the most. It's incredible, and it really gladdens me to hear someone like you talk about it. When you bring up, wait, he was proprietor of a hotel during the World's Fair. All those people knew what he was doing, and there's no debate. There were murders there, Doc.
Yeah.
No one's debating that. They're the count and the number of them. Yeah, they're all want to argue that. I don't know. But like you said, those people that were working there knew what was going on. Was Chicago that evil? Were the police that weak?
Or
Were they
or paid off.
paid?
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
paid off.
paid off to stay off that street, period. And
Yeah.
the other people, I mean, if there was a cult aspect to all of this, he could he have been the leader of this cult, and all of his followers were the ones that were given jobs at this hotel.
Oh, I'm
This is
convinced
all
that.
theory. This is all theory. I'm just off the
Uh,
top of my head. Um,
well, the hotel was in Englewood, right? Part
okay,
of part of
Inglewood.
Chicago. And Englewood back then was very luxurious. Now it's a war zone. It's probably the most dangerous place to go at night in Chicago there is. The cops, while I was there filming, the cops get out of a squad car to get a Pepsi, and they're in full SWAT gear.
Jesus.
And it's you see on the news channels where there's 40 more shootings in Chicago that weekend. Well, a number of them would have been right where the post office is now, and the hotel was then 63rd and Wallace.
Wow. Now, the building's not there anymore, did it, or is it?
No, they tore down the hotel now.
Okay.
Is
there
what's the post office is built offset a little bit. It overlaps maybe a couple of feet, and then there's this little park ground with a couple of trees where the castle used to be. That I've been trying to get the feds. I've been trying to, and maybe you can help me on this too. I've been trying to get the feds feeling guilty about what they did. They knew murders had been committed there. They knew they hadn't been investigated. They knew the victims hadn't been identified. They bought it, they tore it down, and they built their post office over the top.
A government
and those
building.
people deserve an investigation and who they were, to go see if we can find any bones there or what's left down there. And it's right there. It wouldn't be hard for the feds to agree to allow us to do. And I'm sure there's a network that would love to do that, especially after, Scorsese makes his movie.
I'm really intrigued on that. I'm sitting here thinking, how can I get on the crew?
Yeah, you'd be good. You got good ideas about it.
Well, let's see. Dave said, of course, this would make a great movie. And let's see. I'm surprised one of those workers ever talked. Yeah, that is kind of, that's why I'm thinking, since if none of them ever talked, there had to have been some kind of group thing, a cult, a religion, or because of his brilliance, he could have been like an intense politician and had dirt on everybody, or pulled an Epstein and put everybody in predicaments where he got photos or images that he could use on these people. And that was his form of control. That's what a lot of cult leaders and people like that will do.
Well, and that's what the naysayers and debaters all want to use. Why would not any of those workers have talked about what was going on there? And you know what? I don't know what, like you said, he probably had control over a lot of those people, and the ones that he was worried about, well, what happened to them.
Yeah. They were just added to the numbers. Wow. And here's the thing. He says he was drawn to California, and then he goes, some real dark energy in parts of LA, totally different energy down in San Diego. And I totally agree with that, because Hollywood is at one time the capital for all evil witches and covens and all that. A lot of people don't realize, I mean, some of my viewers do. Do you know what the word Hollywood means?
No.
Hollywood comes from the Hollywood tree. And the Hollywood tree would have these branches, and those are what would be used for wands by witches, because it had a power. And it means to cast. It means to cast a spell. If you look at television, it's tell a vision, and when you're broadcasting, you're casting a spell broadly to the world. And everything is what they want you to perceive. It's a crazy thing. That's why I never ended up moving there. I mean, I got some good friends that live there, and nothing against them or anything. It's just for me, the evil was too strong, and worked in Florida, right to work state in Texas, places like that. Um, so my question is, what I meant to say earlier about the post office that was built on top of it. Have they ever had any kind of dark energy event, paranormal, anything to that? Oh, I got the laugh. I'm guessing yes.
I write about in the book about the first time I went down into the basement there at the post office, which all the employees, the federal employees there, refuse to go down into. They think it's haunted.
Oh, probably
And
is.
I write about it in Bloodstains. And when you that cup of coffee, you're going to have to pull it up, Doc. And we went down. The basement door was barricaded. Buck29.com. But it give me another 2-3 weeks before it opens up. And then we it was barricaded. We had permission from the superintendent there at the post office, my buddy and I. This was years ago. And we went down into the basement through the spider webs. And there are still down in that basement original tunnels from the murder castle there that Holmes had built so that he could escape one day if the cops ever came after him.
Was he ever known to have celebrities around him? I mean, because he was a higher class, he was up with a upper class, bolo hats and all that stuff, right? Or was he living as, the lower class?
No, I think he was upper class. I don't know of any celebrity names that he hung out with.
Mm-hmm.
And if the trouble for me now is I bring up something like that, and then I immediately get targeted as another conspiracy theory thing. And
hey, just so you know, the CIA created that term to make people look bad. So here's the thing: anybody that looks up the word conspiracy, you look it up. It's more than one person conspiring to do something, and it is done every day. That's the thing. They've created that word as a trigger point so that people will automatically go, oh, it's a conspiracy theory. We need to break that cycle, Jeff. As you, me, the society, we got to remind people that word is a legitimate word, and this is what it means. And it's not. There's nowhere in the Webster's Dictionary that says conspiracy theory means you're a whack job. Nothing with falsehoods or anything like that. It's anyway. So don't think like that when you're on my show. You say whatever the hell. You can say fuck if you want. I mean, I'm. There you go. This is your platform. Say whatever you want. Don't ever feel restricted when you're here on Patreon. So say what you want.
Well, that's great. I got to tell you, and I'll tell you what. I'll close with this one. All right. I know you think like me on these things. Check this out. All right, and your listeners too.
Okay.
I get people running at me with that is pure coincidence. Okay, this pure coincidence thing. Okay, you'll love this.
All right.
How is it pure coincidence, or what would have been the odds for it to have happened this way? For the most evil man in American history, the master of the murder castle, all right? The devil in the White City, to have had the same handwriting as Jack the Ripper at the same time, if it wasn't the same guy.
Right.
What are the odds of that? What is it, a pure coincidence, their handwriting? And you know what? When I send you copies of the comparisons that the scientists did,
okay,
the capital letters all swirl exactly the same. The slashes are all identical. The tilts, the fonts, everything. You know what? You can look at it and say, well, we don't need scientists for that. This guy wrote this.
Right.
Wow. And that's back before computers. That's back before all the technology we take for granted.
And there's probably one thing he may have not thought of. He thought of everything else, because he would do fake identities and do the insurance scams and all that. He did all this, and then he wrote 2 letters, not thinking, okay, this might be seen and they might be able to match this, and he, write it differently. I'm going to say maybe that was like his Al Capone tax evasion.
He never worried about it. He just thought he was going to have his fun in London, buy a ticket home, and then go back to work when he got home. And that was just he was over there trying to set up another part of his enterprise, selling skeletons and body parts.
Yeah, I mean, as sick as it is, it's brilliant to get rid of evidence by selling it to universities. I mean, can you imagine going to college and medical school and there's a skeleton in your classroom and it's being used all year long, and then you come to find it was somebody who was murdered by H. Holmes.
You're too good. You're too good at this. Now I gotta give you one more. One of the book shows I did, all right, years ago. I'm sitting there signing books for people, and this doctor, this scientist looking dude with a suit, comes up and he goes, "Hey, Mr. Mudgett, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm one of the senior doctors at the University of Iowa Medical School. And I just wanted to let you know that we've been following your story, and that we decided that the museum at the medical school, that we have a medical museum, had a skeleton there, which we knew we had to bury properly, that it was probably had been purchased from your great-great-grandfather."
Oh,
and I'm like, "What? Can someone get me a beer or something? What? That's too much I had to swallow,
huh? That would be an intense phone call to get.
No, he walked right up to me face to face.
Oh no, he walked up to you. Okay, yeah. That's even wow. This is just so amazing. Hold on, I got one more thing. Dave Dennis says apparently there was lots of nefarious tunnels under LA, which we all know because there's a big underground society under there that literally live in the tunnel systems right now. And a lot of celebrities, the Playboy Mansion had tunnels from its house to a bunch of big. Oh, you didn't know about that?
No.
Yes. If you Google here, let me do that real quick. It'll blow your mind. Where is the Google? Here's the Google. That's not the Google. I want the Google. Okay, Google. No, stop. Oh, Google. There we go.
I'm of the age when, and I realized back when Playboy was quite the magazine.
Tunnels. Oh, there it is. So these are actually the blueprints. Let me screen share real quick. Hey, Dave Dennis, thanks for bringing that up because this is a really interesting topic. I was thinking about doing a whole show just on this. So let me pull up. There we go. This is the main one I was looking for. Here we go. Check this out, Jeff. Look at this one right here. Let me make it big. Playboy claims Jack Nicholson, Warren Beatty, James Caan had secret underground tunnels from their homes to the Playboy Mansion, and this is it. Wow. That's a staircase going down in the tunnel leading to their houses across the field, and that's how a lot of everybody loved Hugh Hefner, but Hugh Hefner was basically a nicer version of an Epstein. He was doing it all, recording everything, and had all the women and the underage people. It was, but that was the open secret. We just like, oh, that's just entertainment business. That's just that's how it is. But yeah, there's that image. I'm sorry, that one right there from the Playboy Mansion, and then here's the rest of it. Yeah, there we go. It goes down here, and then it would go through this quarry. Come on. Zoom it in, make it big. Maybe they'll just show the picture here. Nope, they're not going to do that. Let me go back. I'm not paying for that. Where's the main one? Oh, here's the images I was looking for. The tunnel system with staircase. The rest of them. There was a panel way. But this is what they do. They come through, they get in the Playboy Mansion, and then they take the tunnel under this big ravine that they had a little valley dip, and it'd go over to Warren Beatty's, Jack Nicholson's house. It would split up. And after Hugh died, where's this one? Is this? I don't think that's the same thing. they found these blueprints down here in one of the basements, and this is, of course, the Playboy imprint on all of the concrete that was down there next to the outlet. And there was this tunnel system. So after Hugh died, the son of the owner of Anheuser-Busch bought the Playboy Mansion, and the first thing they did was they started. Let me see if I'll pull this up here. Yeah, Jenna Jameson says she can attest to a network of tunnels under the Playboy Mansion. And so what they immediately started doing was they started digging it up. And I don't know if they were doing repairs to it or updating it, but it was shut off to the public, and it was only able to be seen by drone or helicopter. I actually did a story on this on my previous show, and it's quite interesting. So tunnel systems have been something that the Hollywood elite, let me get out of this. Hollywood elite, politicians, and serial killers love to use tunnel systems. And, you know,
I'll have to watch that one on your show. That sounds fascinating.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, and here's what's crazy. That cross section you see, like this one right here. Oh, wait, let me pull it up for the screen here for everybody. So when I was a kid in elementary school, you know, I was that kid that wasn't always paying attention. I was always doodling and drawing. I would draw stuff like this. I have the ground level, and then I have a castle, or it'd be a volcano, and it had all the little staircases and tunnels and bridges over the lava, and you know, the break room. You know, I was thinking of everything, and I love doing it, and I just always was fascinated with tunnels. And then when I discovered that there were people like you and your great grandfather that did stuff like that, it makes me think, what is it about that intrigues people? Secret tunnels and hallways and passages. What do you think?
I don't know. It's it was spooky. It was spooky crawling up in that tunnel, though. I'll tell you that. And the original brick still there, and it was creepy. And I always thought that there's supposedly 65 million that believe in the paranormal in America, something like that. Some number like that, they throw out.
Yeah.
Well, I always thought that if they ever wanted to prove it actually exists, they just need to do it down there in the basement at the post office on 63rd and Wallace, because that's next to the murder castle basement. That's where it's going to be.
Do you, question that we had? Oops, not that one. Was he ever, do you think, involved with the mob? Since he was good at disposing bodies.
I think he was before then. I'm not sure when the mob actually started, or when they started calling it that, Doc. I know Chicago was as corrupt as it got. Maybe
right.
As New York. And it was, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I got two more questions, and then we'll wrap this up. Have you heard of scientific remote viewing?
No.
Scientific remote viewing is a form of being able to, while you're fully awake and conscious in your mind, go anywhere in time or space. Kind of like the bald guy from the X-Men in the wheelchair. He goes into a room and he can go anywhere in the world and find people. It's like that without all the electronics. And it's a natural thing that all of us can do, because our brains are literally organic wireless computers with serious Wi-Fi. We just don't know we haven't been able to turn it on. And they're able to do that with a standard operating procedure that the government put together when it was run by the military. Ingo Swann was the godfather of the program. And on Art Bell's show, Coast to Coast AM, Major Ed Dames, who was head of the program at the time, he had something leaked, and he was able to start talking about it, because it was like they reported to the president only kind of thing. It was very top secret. But once the program had been leaked, he was able to go out and talk about it, but he couldn't talk about any specific cases that they would do. And it became so so many people wanted to learn how to do it, he started going around and started training people, going at hotels, like 300 people, and he teach them how to remote view, and was very, very successful. Well, that was the military style. Now you have Dr. Courtney Brown out of Atlanta, Georgia, who runs an organization called the Farsight Institute, and it's civilians, mostly younger people, who remote view various things. And for the past 3 years or 4 years, they've been doing something where they remote view the top stories of the upcoming month. And they've had a really great track record of getting things right. And so what the next question was by Dave asking about the Farsight Institute. And would you basically be keen on the idea of having your great-great-grandfather remote viewed? Now, what that means is they could go in anywhere in time and be there on the street while he's attacking someone, or while he's in the murder castle, or while he's at the fair, and they can describe everything that's going on. And here's the thing, they're not told what they're remote viewing, okay? That's how it's very scientific. It's very controlled in a lab environment. And all that the remote viewer is given is 2 4-digit numbers. Now, these 2 4-digit numbers in the cosmos have been assigned to a picture of your grandfather, or it just written out Jack the Ripper. And they can take those 8 numbers and sit there, and they've got a big marker, and they'll start drawing and talking about what they're seeing and stuff. They've done, JFK assassinations, Area 51, Roswell. They've done, all the big stuff. But I don't think they've ever done Jack the Ripper or American Ripper. Would you be interested in maybe speaking with Dr. Courtney Brown and seeing if you'd have his team remote view and see what the truth might be?
Possibly. I'll talk to you about it after the, I'm, just working on the book right now, and then seeing where Hollywood wants to go with movies about it. And,
Okay.
but that might be something one day to take a look at. I'd have to, when we get off the show, we can, maybe another time we can discuss what that really means. You're way out past where my mental ability is.
Okay. and it is getting late. All right. So the last one was, does the house or hotel in Valhalla still exist? Vallejo? Yes.
Well, it's actually across from Vallejo's Port Costa. But yeah, it's still there. It was there the last time I was there 3-4 years ago.
Excellent. Well, that was by Audrey. And Audrey works with another network called the Odyssey Network, I think. And the show is Ron and Rocky. And they have a huge following. They're on iHeartRadio. Believe me, You have a lot more viewers than me. I'm very humble. I just appreciate the few that come on and watch. But she said this. She goes, we need to get him on Ron and Rocky's show. So I will get you in contact with Audrey so we can get you scheduled on that show.
Sounds like a great time.
And that will go on. You know who iHeartRadio is, right?
No.
Oh, iHeartRadio basically owns all the major radio stations and all the big cities in the United States. And it's not Casey Kasem. Who's the kid that started American Idol? Anyway, he's like a Casey Kasem. He's everywhere. He does all the New Year's Eve stuff after Dick Clark left. But he's on the iHeart Network, and they're just huge. So if you're on iHeartRadio, you're being listened to by millions of people. So it'll get you out there.
Well, thank you very much. That's cool. I'd love to do that. It's
there it is. It's Odyssey Radio, Abnormal Realities with Ron and Rocky. That's the name of the show, Abnormal Realities with Ron and Rocky. So I will get you hooked up with them.
Okay.
Thank you, Audrey, so much. Even Dave says, man, that would make one hell of a remote viewing subject. So I'll work on that for you too. Ryan Seacrest, that's the Dick Clark guy that I was thinking of. Yes, Ryan Seacrest is on iHeartRadio.
Audrey knows her stuff.
Audrey's always on top of stuff. She's awesome.
Can I say one thing about you, Doc? For you to have pulled the show off the way you have, and I've enjoyed it immensely, with your injury going on the whole time. we all have to admire how you pulled this off. This is a great show. You did wonderful.
Thank you. So yeah, if I'm like, for those that came on late, reason I'm bounced around in my chairs, I got like 70 stitches, and I'm not supposed to be sitting. Supposed to be laying down, but wasn't going to pass up this opportunity. So I'm glad everybody that joined us tonight. Jeff, it has been a pleasure. Let's do this again. I'm not talking like 3 years down the road. I mean, like sooner the better. Let's keep up with this movie. Let's get it out there. Let's get you on some other shows with a further reach of an audience, and let's make this thing happen.
I'd love to. You know what? And as soon as I finish my revision, I'm going to get you a copy, okay, of the book.
Oh, that would be awesome. That would be
all
awesome.
The latest stuff in it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, Jeff, thank you so much. Don't hang up. I'm going to take you off screen, but don't hang up, and we'll do our goodbyes in a second. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Mudgett right here.
Hey, and can I thank and say goodbye to everybody that jumped in on the show with us today? They were all great. I enjoyed their comments and questions. And they were, I still don't understand the DNA and the blood types with the different natures that went on. That was way over my head, but I'll take a look into it. It was fascinating.
Yeah. Well, they say, reality is stranger than fiction, and it really, really is. So awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jeff. And like I said, hold on, don't go away. We'll do our little goodbyes here in a second. Okay. Thank you. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that show. I will say thank you to Audrey, Reba, Dave, Dennis. Who else we got here in the chat room? I know Cheryl was watching. She got a little private entrance there. Reba Serrano's here. Let's see, who else did I get? Yes, the OGs all in the chat room tonight. Love you all. Thank you so much. All right. Tomorrow, I don't know who will be on, or if, I'll be here. I'm pushing through. I will be here. Show must go on. But I need to make a phone call to see if I can line up tomorrow night's guest. I'm hoping so. And so I'm not going to tell you who it is yet. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed the show. I said that 4 times already. Hope you all enjoyed the show. There's 5. There you go. Okay. Until next time, everybody, remember, as long as we all lift each other up, then we will obviously all rise together. I'm Captain Doc Skinner, and the captain of the prize. I think the meds are kicking in. It's time to lay down. Anyway, I'm aboard the Starship Pariah, and this is the Doc Force. God bless you all. I hope you all have an amazing week. If I don't see you again, then I'll see you the next time when we do see each other again. Good night, everybody. Got to find the end button. Where is it? Oh, no. We're not. I'm going to play a trailer for you, a different one. So that's what I meant to do. I'm moving too quick. This is a clip. No. This is the trailer for Antarctica by Sail with Brad Olson. He was on the show recently, traveled to Antarctica, did a whole bunch of home movies, and said, Doc, here's some videos. Can you make this cool into a series? And so I did my best. So here's the trailer. See you all tomorrow night. Ciao bella.
Welcome to Antarctica, baby.
On a great day.